This is not a dream. We are using your preferred podcast provider as a receiver.
Hello, welcome back to Live from Manchester Morgue. I'm Gary, and with me as always is Ken. Hi Ken.
Hello.
Continuing our ongoing theme of two films we think would make for a great double feature. This week, two groups of young people on a road trip are besieged variously by some socially inept cannibals and a hairy witch that you never see.
Socially inept. That's quite mean, that.
Well, I mean, they're murderers. I'm not asked.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a hairy witch that you never see, which I think I got from a
How do you know she's hairy?
Well, that's what someone described.
Oh, the old woman says she's covered in hair. I don't know that. I'm not trying to do the accent.
Hair like a deer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I only watched it the other day. I remember the line. So, I mean, I never see her, but apparently she's hairy. So, yeah, that means we're going to talk about the Blair Witch Project from 1999 and 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you haven't seen them, we recommend watching them before you listen to this. If you're already a fan, then maybe we'll have some insights you'll appreciate on a rewatch. And we'll get to see some nice folksy arts and crafts too in both films.
Yeah.
Nice things hanging in trees and lampshades and things.
I have a really cool
Etsy stuff.
I have a really cool factoid about that as well.
Yeah,
later on.
Cool. We'll get into those in a minute then. So, what have you watched since we last recorded anything? I watched Heart Eyes last night.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it?
It was good. I like it. I like Josh Rubin though. I watched Werewolves. I can't say it. Werewolves Within.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah, because that was weirdly based on an Ubisoft game that I've never played. Yeah, so it's from the Ubisoft studio, the film studio, because it was like a VR game or something.
Oh,
but it's a great film.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And he did Scare Me as well.
Oh, that's good.
With Aya Cash. That was my introduction to Aya Cash.
Yeah.
Who played Stormfront in The Boys, for those of you who don't know who that is. She's blinding everything that's in her in so far.
Scare Me's very good.
Scare Me's great. Also starring Josh Rubin.
Yeah.
He's got a cameo in Heart Eyes. I noticed him. He's at the drive-in when the maniac starts killing everyone.
Oh, that's a good bit. Yeah. I need to rewatch that. So I saw it at the cinema. It was really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a proper slasher as much as it is a comedy. It's like good slasher bits.
I can't remember the film that I only sent you 2 nights ago that I watched. The one that came on Shudder.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, I've forgotten. I can't look at it because it's on my phone. I'm using my phone to record.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you next week. Ken's seen
a good film.
I saw a film.
That's all you need to know.
I saw a film. It was good.
A great film. And recommended it to me.
I'll tell you what. Let's let our listeners get by on the description. So it's just come on Shudder.
Yeah.
It's
You said it had dark song vibes.
Yeah, it's
which
about
we covered in our first episode.
It's about a botched resurrection of a family patriarch by the mother and the daughter.
Oh wow!
It's called something like The Surrendering.
The Surrendering.
That's what it's called.
It sounds like anything for Jackson.
Because it's
vibe.
That vibe. Yeah, The Surrendering, because the ritual that they have is based on surrendering, like cut your finger off and stuff. Okay. Really, really good. The first half is more about like the grief and these two, like the mother and the daughter coping with the loss of the father. Second half is full on dark song.
Oh, cool.
Like magic is just a commonplace thing. And,
sounds great.
Very good.
All right, I'll definitely watch that then. Just on that note, though, anything for Jackson also great.
Very, very good.
I've only listened that one time, but it stuck with me.
Shudder's full of great stuff.
I know. Well, this is the thing. I really object to it whenever you see someone going, "Horror's finally back. We've finally got good horror films again." It's like they never went away.
Hate it.
You just don't watch a lot of horror films.
Hate it. People that say that, and I hate people that use the term elevated
horror. Yeah, it's the same people.
Not on this podcast.
There's no elevation here.
Well, the two films that we're going to talk about now, one of them is birthed a genre which everyone kind of hates now, found footage, and the other one is just, for all intents and purposes, a slasher video nasty. And they're both elevated horror. They're both allegorical, very kind of meaningful, subtextual horrors.
Yeah, they are, yeah. And I mean, from when I was trolling Reddit, I did get some comments from people about well, pretty much Blair Witch Project this time around, nothing to do with Texas Chainsaw, but a lot of people kind of misunderstand things about it, I think.
Blair Witch?
Yeah, I think a lot of people seem to put it down to, like, the success of it. A lot of people are saying they were bored by it, which I get.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the thing is, things like that, they either resonate with you or they don't. If you can't suspend your disbelief, then it's not going to work.
Yeah, so it's interesting because many films, I mean, I've rewatched Blair Witch like a lot of times, and it's never really kind of lessened for me. But many films are one first viewing type of film, and I'll never forget my first like cinema viewing of the Blair Witch Project. It was like tickets were given away free in Empire magazine for the showcase cinema.
I went in '99 when it came out.
Yeah.
I definitely saw it first time around.
And our entire audience, because like we have to stress this to listeners that are of a certain age, there was nothing like Blair Witch when it came out.
No, the found footage was not a thing. You'd had like, was it Cannibal Holocaust?
Cannibal Holocaust, but even then, no one would have seen Cannibal Holocaust.
No.
I think it was banned at the time. But like,
arguably, you had, I think, the first thing of its kind that was like a mockumentary style thing was the Legend of Boggy Creek about the Bigfoot thing, which was 70s thing.
Yeah.
But this was new for everybody.
It was new. When the screening I went to see it, which was an evening screening, it was a preview screening a few weeks before the film actually came out. People weren't even talking when, Mike stood in the corner and he gets knocked out, the credits rolled. Everyone was walking out in silence. It was brilliant.
Too. I could not speak. I was so scared. I didn't even know what I'd just witnessed.
But we'll get into it.
Well, should we carry on with Blair Witch since we started talking about it? Yeah.
So I have a new section that, given the structure of our podcast is pretty kind of set in stone. It's probably, maybe I'll use it, maybe I'll drop it. Who knows? Sure, go for it. So it's the shared links. It's what couples these films together, because we're doing the double bills, right? We've got to have some meaning behind it. Otherwise, it's just us talking shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'd go as far as to say that it's quite obvious when you think about it, but there's some stuff you don't think about as well.
But again, and again, these, I'm pretty sure these were your choices.
Yeah.
And again, I say this every week, I don't see a lot of the connections, and then I watch the films and I'm like, yeah, there's quite... So, obviously, the simple one is both of these films use the conceit that they're based on a true story.
Yes.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is kind of based on the lore of a true story, but we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. It's more complex.
Okay.
So yeah, they both like kind of TCM opens with the opening crawl of like
August 18th, 1973.
Yeah.
Was it August 18th? Because it's like Return of the Living Dead Day being the 5th.
Yeah.
5th of July. It's Texas Chainsaw Day is the 18th of August.
Yeah, you always post that on the socials, don't you?
I do.
The Return of the Living Dead, yeah.
Because it's my favourite day of the year.
Yeah.
That and the Fog Day, which is the 21st of April.
So the intention of both films is to convince the viewer that it's based on a true story.
Yes.
When something I found out, so we'll go to the Ed Gein thing. So we'll diverge onto TCM for a bit. So a lot of the kind of production design of the Sawyer family, and also Leatherface himself, is based on Ed Gein, who was for anyone who doesn't know, was a famous serial killer in the 1940s, 50s, I think he got caught.
Something like that, yeah.
And he made lampshades out of people. He made
a nipple belt.
He made a nipple belt. He made he had a bowl of soup that was like the skull of his mother. I mean, fucked up shit that you only see in movies. Yeah. He did.
He was the influence.
He was a hipster. He was skinning women before it was cool. But, however, Tobe Hooper didn't know about Gein, and while he was writing the script for Chainsaw, he wrote it as a Hansel and Gretel parallel.
Okay. Which
the Blair Witch very much is. It's kids going into the woods and getting kind of subsumed by a witch.
Yeah.
So they do have kind of parallels. Chainsaw More Than Blair Witch is about kind of these city people invading the rural communities and like poking fun at them and like being different and othering them.
Yes.
And then they get payback.
Which there's an element of that in Blair Witch as well.
Yeah, definitely,
with the interviews and stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, but more obviously, it's about a bunch of young people who go and bad things happen to them in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And as I said before in the little intro, there's lots of really interesting Etsy style ornamentation
Etsy style
to look at. You know, there's not just spinal column lampshades. There's the Blair Witch, you know, little rock piles and little stick men.
I love the little stick men.
Yeah, they're cool.
Used to collect them in the games. Do you remember the games?
I didn't play the old ones. I played the Blair Witch, the one from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, which was good.
Yeah,
the dog.
You had the dog. Yeah, that was good.
So right, we'll have to get into it because the marketing is all about it. So Blair Witch 1999, directed by two student filmmakers called Dan Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. They wanted to make a hybrid of narrative horror and documentary. Documentaries they always felt were scarier than real horror, which to an extent they can be because it's real.
Yep.
For anyone who hasn't seen the Blair Witch, or maybe saw it once and wasn't really, into it, like some of the comments that you've seen, not only was it the first kind of thing to do the found footage thing, it gave birth to the found footage genre. There's no other word for it, but it was kind of guerrilla filmmaking by its very kind of definition. So these kids, Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard, they were given a bit of money to go out and they were given all the camera equipment, which was on loan.
Yep.
And they were given a basic script and they were sent out into the woods.
Yeah.
So, I think the version that I saw was the Cannes version, which has the extra scenes at the beginning where they go to the supermarket and they buy just junk food and beer. That was the money that they were given to go out in the woods and survive, and they spent it all on junk food and booze.
That's what I would have done at that age.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going out into the woods. The filmmakers are in the woods in the perimeter watching them, coming out at night and leaving the little sticks and banging their tent, messing with them. And these people, unless you're Tom Cruise, who doesn't care about insurance, you couldn't do something like that now because it's true. They could have died.
Well, yeah, they literally could have died. Could have been eaten by a bear or anything.
There's one moment in the commentary that I watched where they're crossing the creek.
Yeah.
And the director's like, if he would have fallen there with that camera equipment, not only could he have died, which would have been horrible, but the camera would have bust and we wouldn't have been able to afford another camera. So that's the film over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was.
Sorry, Josh, the film's fucked now. Sorry about your leg.
Yeah. It was razor's edge down to the wire filmmaking, like has never been done before.
Because it was obviously on a very tight budget, which gives rise to another parallel, and part of why the genius of the film is as it is. Another parallel between this and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is it relies a lot on things that you don't actually see.
Yeah,
because Texas Chainsaw is surprisingly not that gory at all.
Not at all. There's barely any blood in it.
There's barely any blood in it. Which obviously, with the Blair Witch Project, you never see the witch for a start.
Nope.
They do. Which I believe is famously one of the crew, one of the filmmakers chasing them in a white sheet or something at night through the woods.
Yeah.
When Heather starts screaming, "What the fuck is that?" There was actually someone there chasing them all.
There was someone there chasing them, and they had to screw around with that in the editing suite because Heather apparently tried to chase them back.
Oh, right.
So they didn't get a really good shot. It just kind of looked like a guy running away in a sheet, so they had to kind of edit that out. So that whole chase scene is a lot longer.
Right, okay. I wouldn't chase that back.
But both of the movies, so one part of my trivia is really important to note in the interest of justice. So this is, I believe this is one of the most, if not the most profitable film ever made.
Right.
So it cost roughly 60 grand to make, and it made 248 million. So that's almost 4,000 times its budget.
Wow. Okay.
And Heather, Mike, and Josh were originally paid $1,000,
right?
And they weren't in a union.
Oh.
So imagine just being those actors and going to Cannes and watching your film absolutely explode, and you weren't getting anything else. They've since taken legal action, and only recently, I think they got a payout of a couple of $100,000, but locked them out of future residuals.
Right. Okay.
So they could be millionaires off this film.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough.
Yeah. So.
There's because you think. I'd settle for 200 grand. I think. At this stage of my life, I guess they're all getting on a bit. Well, not getting on, but
they're like our age, really.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I still wouldn't settle for a couple of $100,000.
It depends how much fight you've got in you. After all that
in this
time
economy,
after all that time, if you didn't think you were getting anything, I suppose it might be easier to just go, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, But yeah, Kids in the Woods. So they're sent out there. They've got no script. They really did hate each other. So there's several scenes in the film. The one particular scene where Josh, where they've got lost, the map is lost, and Josh is kind of laying into Heather, and she starts crying. That is very real. Like he said in an interview, we hated each other. I was giving it too hard. Like all that is improv. There's no script for that.
Yeah. And
she was like genuinely kind of. They had a safe word for when it got too tense and they needed to break character. The safe word was taco.
Taco.
And a funny thing is they learned to regret that because as they got a few days into shooting, they were starving because they'd spent all their money.
Oh, God, yeah. Poor choice of words.
Yeah.
And a very real respect.
So you've got kids out in the wood, they're starving, they're going slowly mental for real, and there's people tormenting them.
Yeah.
You'd say that to a lot of people nowadays. And like,
I wonder if they genuinely ran out of cigarettes then.
Oh, can you imagine?
But then Mike finds some, so who knows?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, you were saying it was the most profitable film of all time, possibly. I mean, what comes close to that then, like Paranormal Activity? Just because no budget and making a shitload of money.
I'm pretty sure Paranormal Activity is pretty close.
Yeah. But again, found footage, it's easy to do if you do it right, I guess. But so many people get it wrong.
Yeah. But obviously, as we say, like the two parallels that I would make between Texas Chainsaw and Blair Witch. Texas Chainsaw changed the horror genre forever.
Yeah, it did.
Whereas Blair Witch changed it to an extent that it birthed an entire other genre.
Yeah.
So like found footage, you're still getting them now. I watched one recently. Oh, I forgot the name again. You asked me at the beginning what have you been watching recently. It was right. Let's do the.
Well, what did we both watch recently? I recommended to you Savage Land. Savage Land about the sort of zombies that come at night, and that was like more of a documentary.
That was amazing.
It was more found photography, but it's more a faux documentary thing.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, but again, it's still out there. It's still being made. That's not an old film.
Yeah, that was really good because that was like after the facts. That was very Blair Witchy in that like this is an event that happened and here is like the footage.
A lot of the hype about the Blair Witch was down to some of the marketing. Obviously, it was expertly marketed, as some of the people I'm going to quote in a little while come out with, but. There's that whole documentary, the fake documentary, The Curse of the Blair Witch, which was a companion piece to it.
Yeah. So this is the other thing about the Blair Witch. So it was revolutionary. Just the idea of it was revolutionary enough. But the marketing campaign was historic. So this is 1999. So if anyone used the internet in 1999, it was not a good place. You can't just click on something. You got to wait like an hour for something. You hear that sound. Yeah. And then there was a website that was like The Truth of the Blair Witch and all this stuff. And it was a whole website with pages and historic documents that were all fake.
Yeah.
All teaching you this history. So a lot of people that went in those first waves go to the cinema. They were like, this is real. Like the witch is real. It killed these kids.
Yeah. Well, I remember at the time, I don't know which of the two directors it was that said it, but I remember them specifically saying the best way you could possibly watch our movie is on an unmarked VHS tape without knowing anything about it. Someone just gives it to you at a party. Yeah. And you go home and watch it. Yeah. I mean, that could never happen.
Not now.
Not now. But imagine you were that. Imagine you were the guinea pig and they just tested it out on you and went, here, do us a favour, mate. Watch this tonight when you get home.
Yeah.
You'd probably die in your sleep or something. It'd be fucking horrendous.
Yeah, like in The Ring.
Yeah. Well, that's another one that would benefit from the same thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I watched this on Amazon. Oh, sorry, just to touch back on the documentary style. So I don't think the documentary, The Curse of the Blair Witch, which is obviously a fake documentary, I don't think it doesn't have the same interviews as from the film, does it? It's all like new cast and stuff.
I think it's got some of the same ones.
Or does it have like extended bits or different bits?
Extended bits, yeah.
Because I think some of them are really funny in the film.
Yeah, so they were all actors. Some of them the directors knew. So the creepy old woman, she's so convincing as a creepy old woman, but she was a film student. Dan Myrick and Sanchez set up like a film course or something, and she was the only one that signed up. So like, yeah, so she's just a normal film student. Yeah.
Be careful what you sign up for, I guess.
Yeah.
But I like that the interviews, like some people at the beginning are saying, nah. Some people are saying, don't know, but I wouldn't go up there anyway.
Yeah.
And some people tell you specific stories but they're all just vague enough to make it that bit more plausible, like any urban myth. And that's the beauty of it. That's just obviously by design because, as I said before, you never really see the witch. so it leaves a lot to your imagination. But just throwing in little hints about what she might look like gives you an idea.
Yeah,
it's genius.
My favourite being the two that they see on the creek.
Oh, the fishing
guys who are a real life father and like son-in-law who are out like fishing. Interesting. There was the original written ending. They were going to have those guys come back at the end.
Oh yeah,
and like kind of be outside the house and looking, going dumb kids. that would have been a good.
It would have been fun. It would have killed it though.
Yeah, it would have killed it.
It would have taken the realism out of it.
So do you have any internet?
I do have internet. I need to tell you about the subtitles. I've written sobbing. I've written iconic sobbing on my notes because obviously Heather's and
the snot titles.
Yeah, the snot titles. Yeah. So I watched this on Amazon because for some reason I don't have it on DVD or any other media, and the subtitles they'd cut out all the swearing.
What?
Weirdly, so like there's a bit where someone says fucking bullshit and it becomes oh boy. Like Quantum Leap.
What?
Yeah. And then someone says, is that a bullshit statement? And the subtitles say, is that a total bunk statement?
What?
It's so weird. It's a horror film. Why has it got all the swearing edited out?
It's all like AI subtitles now, isn't it?
It was so weird. Well, it was clearly a decision to cut out swearing. There was no swearing on the subtitles because I can hear the film.
Yeah.
I just turn it down so that my family don't get disturbed by it. So I watch with the subtitles so it's low enough. But yeah, there was no explanation for it whatsoever. But yeah, anyway.
Subtitles.
So this was interesting. It's someone called Empty Hell Online.
That's a good.
This is from Blue Sky though, but his username or their username was @emptyhell.online, so it didn't have the usual .bsky thing. So I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bsky admin maybe. I don't know.
How did you do that? Emptyhell.online.
Yeah.
Tell us. Anyway, they said, not gonna lie, I was on a date with a woman who hated movies that showed long scenes of arguing. I think the PR push was God tier. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Rosie says, my mother... So, what the question asked was, does anyone have any memories they'd care to share or something to that effect? So she says, my mother loudly and incredulously demanding to know, is that it? At the end. And the whole cinema laughing. Tammy Kornoff. 16 and gullible, my friends and I thought it was real, loved it. Well, yeah, a lot of people did, I believe.
Yeah, that's great.
Deflidaria, I think that's what it says.
Deflidaria?
It's something Daria. I've written it down. I might have typed it down wrong, but I'll find you on Blue Sky and copy you. And
Whoa. You'll find them.
I'll find not like Liam Neeson find them, like on socials. I went to see this at the cinema. You could feel in the air the goosebumps being created from the uneasy atmosphere this film has, which, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Debbie Never says that ending with a little spooky face.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
It's still to this day one of my favourite kind of horror endings. It's so bleak.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, it makes sense. It's obviously sort of what happened with Rustin Parr, wasn't it? Sending kids to the corner while he killed one of them.
Yeah, so the games, there was a trilogy of games on PC that I played. One was called Rustin Parr, one was called like Ellie Kedwood, I think.
Kedwood, yeah.
And there was another one I just can't remember. But they were shit games, but they were cool. As a fan of the Blair Witch, who had a shitty massive PC, it was cool to play.
Yeah, I didn't have them, unfortunately. I did play that one from a couple of years ago. That was, you said you had a dog and you played like a soldier who's going through PTSD.
Yeah. It was scary.
Pretty script freaky.
It was scary.
A couple more I got from Reddit. This is why I mentioned this earlier, because I was thinking about this quote, and I'm not sure I entirely agree with it, but we can have opposing views. It's all right. And Staff Senu says, I can appreciate the hook, the gimmick, etc., but as a skeptic and non-believer, there was nothing for me. Unless you buy into the gimmick, there's no payoff. Reality is far more terrifying.
I mean, there's something to that.
There is, but at the same time, you can say that about any horror film. If you don't believe in vampires, you're saying you can't suspend your disbelief to enjoy a vampire film.
Yeah, I honestly think that you can enjoy it from like a filmmaking's perspective.
Yeah,
I mean, I do not like. I mean, I don't know what this says about me, but nothing about romance works on me. Love stories are just lost on me. But there's some classic love stories out there that I can watch.
Well,
and
I mean, if it's not your cup of tea, and no one's arguing that, it's all subjective, isn't it?
It's a well-made film.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's like we've talked before about Skin of a Rink, and I get what it was doing, but it didn't get to me in
classic
that way.
elevated horror.
Elevated horror. Yeah, Skinamarink didn't get to me, but I don't shit on it because it obviously got to a lot of people. It just didn't do that for me.
I still think of Skinamarink.
Yeah.
Every couple of days I'll close my eyes and I'll see that phone.
Maybe I need to watch it again. But again, it didn't do that. I think this is what Stasenu is saying. It's like it just didn't push those buttons.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, it's fine. As I say, it's subjective, isn't it? This was a good one. The funniest thing, I didn't get the name of this guy, I'm so sorry. What might have been funniest is a guy all of us knew, one who was reported to be quite stupid, saw it with another group of people and they mentioned, he said, I don't get it, why is that guy peeing in the corner? Right, last one. The Ghost of Pete Rose.
That's good.
Who's Pete Rose?
Isn't he a basketball player?
I don't know. Well, this Reddit user, Ghost of Pete Rose, says, I literally watched this movie in the theatre the weekend before I started my 6-month internship in the Allegheny National Forest.
Oh my God.
It ruined the internship for me, as it would, I suppose.
Wow.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, so what do you do after you create one of the most, groundbreaking, successful horrors ever? You make...
A Bigfoot film.
Well, actually, the Bigfoot film's good.
I didn't like it.
They made an Alien film as well called Altered, I think.
Oh, I've not seen that.
That was really good.
Is it Exists, the Bigfoot one?
Yeah.
Ironically, there's another Bigfoot one you've probably seen. Was it Willow Creek?
Yes, that's really good. That's
I think it's good, but yeah,
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah. The weird little guy from Police Academy.
Yeah, that's where he goes in it. He gets. Is it the woman that gets turned into a bride?
Yeah,
it's heavily insinuated that she's going to be a bride of the Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's a bit grim in that respect. Yeah, it's good and effective. Although I did feel when I watched that it was very much ripping off the Blair Witch Project a lot.
Yeah, there's
a lot of direct takes from that.
But what do you do with the Blair Witch franchise? You make the worst fucking sequel. God,
Book of Shadows.
What a drop off!
It even had a 2000s goth in it.
A 2000s goth. Oh man. Blair Witch Book of Shadows. Where
do we have to talk about it?
No, we've got to because so they made a live action. Say live action. It's Blair Witch was live action. They made a narrative, should we call it, sequel? Yeah.
Do they go into the woods to find the original trio? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've seen it all.
And then they all have an orgy, and then they forget they've had an orgy, and then they kill each other. And there's an animatronic owl that comes through the way. It's a terrible film, and it's made ironically, it's made by a really great documentarian called Joe Berlinger.
Maybe you should stick to documentaries then.
Yeah, and for the record, there's a 2016 film, and I liked it.
So, I mean, what do you think if you took away the Blair Witchness, the element of it? Do you think it would be a good film in its own right?
Book of Shadows?
Yeah.
No, it's horrendous.
Oh, is it actually just shit? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad.
I remember not being impressed with it, but I don't think I watched it all the way through, probably for those reasons.
It's one of them films, big franchises like Halloween and like Freddy, not that the franchises.
I expect them to get bad, but I love them all anyway.
But there's films in those franchises that literally you can see the executive in the suit behind the film going, we need to make another one of these to make more money. And Book of Shadows is that. It's like Blair Witch exploded and they were like, we don't really understand this, but we need to make another one. So slap a Blair Witch name on this script.
That's unfortunate. Like American Psycho 2. Oh
God, yeah, American Psycho 2 with Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
Who plays Patrick Bateman's sister.
Christ on earth. That's disappointing because, there's plenty of good lore there, but I think I seem to remember, I'm sure there were things that weren't allowed to do with sequels as well when they started trying to make decent ones, like the Blair Witch, the one that's just called the Blair Witch. The
2016 one.
Yeah.
He
directed that.
Adam Wingard.
Wingard, yeah. Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. I mean, it can't live up to the original because of the original being what it is, but it was good enough, I think.
I like the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, that was good. I like seeing what may or may not have been the witch as well.
Apparently it's not. They've said
they said
not.
It might be like Heather or something. There's loads of theories about it.
Oh, that's cool. But she's been all distorted and stuff.
Yeah, and that's quite a terrifying concept, just being trapped there in that timeline, in that house with the time loopy thing.
Yeah.
Timey-wimey. It was effective. It was effective in a different way to the first one, but it had some of the same tropes, but updated technology such as the old drones and things.
Yeah,
I quite liked it.
But nothing beats the original, and there'll be nothing like it because of the way it was shot. there'll be nothing like it ever again.
Well, you can't. No one's going to take a dat out to the woods now, are they? Because we don't have dats anymore.
No,
essentially. But I mean, it's been aped so many times. Found, like you said, found footage is a genre now because of that, and some of them are good. I mean, Rex found footage. Rex fucking brilliant.
Yeah, Rec and its sequel. Well, I mean, they're all pretty good. The VHS series is built on. Yeah, they're almost all found footage.
Yeah. Deborah Logan, The Taking of Deborah Logan.
That's a great film.
Also known as just The Taking.
Yeah.
And then Paranormal Activity did it all again in 2001.
Paranormal Activity was like an explosion of a genre.
2001, was it?
Was it?
No, later than that. Anyway, it did it all again.
Yeah.
And created the genre, refreshed the genre.
Created Jason Blum's career is what it did.
Yeah, it did, yeah. Yeah, Lucky Bloom. What were some other ones? There was the Borderlands. That's a good one.
Borderlands is great.
Yeah, it's on like a hidden gem. That one
where they end up in
it's also called,
giant worm's anus.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
they do. That's if you're American, you might know that as Final Prayer. It's not called the Borderlands in America.
I kind of like that name.
Final Prayer is good.
Yeah.
And the Hell House movies more recently.
Hell House LLC.
Hell House LLC. The third one, the Origins one's fucking terrifying.
It is.
I watched that in daylight and I was scared. I didn't like it.
His new film's not as good.
I've not seen it.
I can't remember what it's called, but he made a traditional like narrative, like non-found footage film, and it's not great.
I suppose it's difficult to transition between those two things.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think found footage is great if done correctly, and it's not always, but there's definitely. I think it would probably be easier to make a decent found footage film than it would be to make a decent, more straightforward film.
Yeah, I mean, we live in the age of
traditional filmmaking,
the age of the iPhone film, where people can win Oscars making like Sean Baker get an iPhone out and win an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. Right then, let's move on because I want to talk about this most excellent film.
Oh God, it never depreciates in value. It's like the finest of whiskies or wines.
Yeah, I think this must have been my third watch of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Your third?
I think so. Yeah.
God, I think I watched the VHS on a loop when I was a kid. You know, when they unbanned it.
Yeah, that's right. It was banned for a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit of trivia. Video nasty for anyone that listened to our Evil Dead.
Oh, we might have joint trivia here. I've got a trivia about this as well.
Oh, I got loads of trivia about this. So Texas Chainsaw was refused classification in the UK.
Yes.
Only released on home video in 1998.
It was, but it was shown theatrically because of the heroes in local government.
Yes.
Who certify films for you when the BBFC won't do it, folks. So,
Are you hinting at something there?
No, I have no connections to local government and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was interesting to read. I only found that out the other day. It was one of Steven Spielberg's favourite films, apparently. Yeah. Or is, and he's not dead. I mean, he might have changed his mind. But I'd say that in the past tense for some reason.
So is it pre or pre-Jaws?
Not far off, yeah. It was 74 and Jaws was 75.
Yeah, so he would have made Jewel a bit before. So he would have made Jewel around the same time that Texas Chainsaw was being made. Yeah.
So this is something I think I want to talk about things that people don't give it a lot of credit for. It is quite funny.
Yes.
Intentionally so. It is very, very darkly funny.
It's a black comedy. Tobe Hooper himself, the director,
he said it. Yeah.
He said that he always regretted that no one got that it was a comedy, and that's why TCM 2 is such a balls-out, goofy comedy.
Yeah. Well, I find when I was watching this and thinking about the Texas Chainsaw 2, there's quite a lot of parallels there between these and Evil Dead in that respect.
Definitely.
Like, tone down the horror and go for a bit more of a wacky approach.
Yeah.
And an over-the-top, silly approach, which is great. The thing with the difference is, I think, we're talking about different things because we're talking about sequels, but the comedy in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre makes it more horrifying.
Yeah, especially the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, the sequel's like... The second one's okay. It's got the amazing Bill Moseley performance as Chop Top, but...
That's true, yeah.
It's not great. They depreciate with each one, I think.
Yeah, well, there's nothing like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's such... There's always been... As I said, this is my third-ish watch, and it's just... Even before you get to the real horror bits when people start getting murdered, it's so odd. There's such an oddness to the whole thing, like the way it's shot and everything.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that I probably didn't give it credit for originally. There's a lot more of a supernatural undercurrent to it than you might think.
Yeah.
In that, well, I realise this, and you've got at the beginning you've got the kids in the van, And Sally Hardesty is talking about how Saturn's in retrograde.
Saturn's in retrograde,
but which is malefic, which means like things are more kind of evil.
Yeah.
And then you've got the hitchhiker, who's also known as Nubbins, apparently.
Yeah.
Nubbins Sawyer.
Edwin Neal as the hitchhiker.
Yeah. He turns up and he... Like it's a very portentous foreshadowing there, because like he tries to sell them a picture which they refuse. They refuse his services as some kind of harbinger,
and then he makes a little
he cuts himself. He cuts them, and then he uses his own blood to write a ritualistic symbol on the side of the van, which kind of marks them for death or cattle. And they somehow find their way back to him as well.
Yeah,
it's not like Wrong Turn where was it Wrong Turn? Might be something else where they throw like things down to pop the tires. They just end up.
That's Wrong Turn.
Is it? Yeah, I thought it sounded like Hills Have Eyes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all like it seems all quite kind of designed like almost inescapable fate in a way, which makes it more
inescapable fate. That's really good.
But I think, as I say, I think all that stuff about it, the Saturn being in retrograde and being malefic and all that is definitely on purpose. It's like supposed to give it a bit more of a mystical bent than just a load of nutters chopping people up.
Yeah, so that's why the great kind of Shocking Truth documentary which is on the DVD, which is in front of me right now, your special edition DVD. So they talk about that, and I think it's on I watched it recently with the Tobe Hooper commentary, and he does say about the Hansel and Gretel that the original script he was writing it as a Hansel and Gretel fable. So it was
supernatural fairy tale.
It was built on top of a fable, so
it's
not meant to be like grounded in reality.
No.
But talking about the elevated horror of it, like this is definitely, it's a post-Vietnam film. It's North versus South. It's capitalism, gentrification, and the marginalised working class. It's also a bit of a vegan film, a bit of a veggie film.
It is as well. I think part of the lore is that Grandpa quit the what's the word?
The slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse in protest because they started using those guns instead of a hammer.
Yeah. Them guns is no good.
Well, that's again, there's a whole lot of foreshadowing there, because like Franklin's talking to the hitchhiker in the beginning about how they do it and stuff, and then you see that about hitting a cow with a hammer to kill it, which literally happens to one of the characters later.
And then Franklin does the sound.
Boom! Yeah. And then someone gets murdered with a hammer later.
Yeah. So okay, quick synopsis for the youth that hasn't seen the film.
Well, we recommend you go and watch it now before you continue this, because it'll make more sense.
Yeah. Teenagers go to the woods.
Yep.
Stumble upon... I think...
The Teenage Chainsaw Massacre.
Sally, who's the final girl, played by Marilyn Burns.
Yes.
She's going to her kind of childhood home, which is in the Texas sticks.
Yeah.
And by fate, as you say, they end up at the Sawyer family's house, which is a house full of, cannibals. Cannibals.
There's no two ways about it. They're definitely cannibals.
So there's the father.
Well, to be fair, so is Franklin, because he starts eating that meat from the barbecue.
He does, yeah. And Franklin is a very negative character.
Not to interrupt you there, sorry, Ken.
But yeah, Jim Seedow as the cook, who's like the father.
Yeah.
The hitchhiker is like the younger son. We've got Grandpa, and we have Leatherface.
Yeah.
And we say
Gunnar Hansen.
We say the word iconic quite a lot, because we talk a lot about iconic horror films, but this is an icon. This is about as iconic as you can get, Leatherface.
Yeah.
Played by Gunnar Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
So they turn up to this house, and it's basically, so this is where the Ed Gein comes into it. So obviously Leatherface, he wears a leather mask, which is like a mask of one of his victims, which he sometimes kind of crudely scrawls makeup on so that he can be like the mother. So it's an all male psycho family.
I was never sure if that was the same mask or he had a variety of masks.
I think you're right. I think he's got like a woman mask. I think he might have a couple,
but it's like got a blusher on it. And
he puts his doily on.
Which is so funny.
It is funny. And he becomes like the woman because it's a male family. It's almost like, this is one of the things because, Tobe Hooper was like quite a left-leaning, radical kind of filmmaker, writer. So it's a very kind of...
You tend to find that with these horror directors.
Yes, especially from like the post-Vietnam ones in the 70s. Yeah. So it's a very kind of, not a nuclear family, but like a perfect American family twisted through like a male lens. And like, this is what unchecked masculinity, I don't know if that was on purpose, but, I'll put my woke hat on for a second. But like, that's what it is essentially. So the kids turn up and they get butchered one by one,
Yeah.
and it ended up with Sally,
Yeah.
who almost gets whacked like a beef. I love the way they say beef instead of beef like a cow.
Yeah.
They turn up. We have the iconic scene, the reveal of Leatherface as the kid. I say a kid. He's like 35 years old, playing a teenager.
Yeah.
He stumbles, and then Leatherface appears in that.
Yeah, just from fucking out of nowhere,
and just whacks him.
Spanners him with this massive hammer, and he falls to the ground, and he's spasming away, twitching and spasming, and then Leatherface just drags him off and just shuts this weird steel shutter door out of nowhere.
And you get
like
one of the only
door.
Yeah, and you get one of the only kind of swells of actual kind of not incidental, like sound.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of music going on. Yeah.
All of the soundtrack is kind of Tobe Hooper did with the sound designer and himself. It's all kind of like broken toys rubbed against each other and like distorted reverb, and like it's
except for the last 20 minutes, which is literally endless screaming.
Just Sally screaming.
It's quite hard work.
Yeah. So if you poke around the making ofs and like the commentaries, like you get a bit of a picture of what that scene was like, but we have to imagine that Marilyn Burns is purposely like putting herself through actual fucking hell in that scene.
I mean, I don't think it was a very pleasant shoot, was it? They were doing really long days, and it was
absolutely boiling hot. Yeah. I think the finger cut is real.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe that's a myth, but I'm pretty sure. She's actually going fucking mental in that scene. It's an amazing performance.
Yeah.
And like the extreme close-ups of the eye and everything.
Yeah, it's really unsettling.
It's a nerve-jangling experience that's never really been matched. People have tried to.
Well, it influenced a lot. I was thinking about this. I didn't look it up, but just sort of from my own knowledge, I was thinking what it did influence. Sorry, what later films came after, and I wrote The Hills Have Eyes, which was not long after.
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses, obviously. Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
X.
I mean, it's all...
And Terrifying.
Terrifying, yeah.
Just the skin wearing thing. Because he does that in the first one. He wears half a woman or something. I'm sure Art does something.
He does, yeah. I love the Terrifier films. It's like Blair Witch. It's about these kind of... I mean, it's very literally about lambs to the slaughter in Texas Chainsaw. It's like these are... And going back to what you said about it being like a supernatural, like these children are kind of being lost in this like Leviathan, which is this deep south rural community of the result of... I mean, he's trying to say a lot of things about America at the time.
Yeah.
Like,
it's basically, it seemed to be about just communities dying out, and like you said, gentrification, and the old ways being thrown out the window. I mean, if the old ways are cannibalism, I don't really care. But
I think we're cannibalism in a lot of like corners.
Yeah.
But so I mean, with the Ed Gein stuff, so obviously this is, I don't know if it was worked into the script, but it was definitely like an afterthought. The production design and the feel of the film and Leatherface's character was based on details of the Ed Gein case, which were at the time were like published in public newspapers. So like pictures of his living room, with all these kind of like human lampshades and all sorts of stuff. So they were public knowledge, and the film is kind of based. The inside of the Sawyer's house is kind of based on that. There's one great scene where one of the victims kind of runs in. This is the meat hook girl before she gets put on the meat hook.
Yes, yeah, she's just in there, and there's a chicken in a cage on the ceiling.
My favourite bit of trivia for you. So Tobe Hooper worked with a sound mixer, like a Foley guy. I don't believe I didn't write his name down.
Let's call him Mick.
Yeah, but this guy also worked on The Exorcist. I mean, he worked on loads of films. He was a prolific sound designer, and he worked on The Exorcist. So they used some of the sounds from The Exorcist. So
okay.
The chicken cage, the sound that it makes, the creaking sound, is the same sound as Reagan's bed creaking when she's bouncing up and down.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, there you go.
Wow, that's amazing. We talked about Franklin very briefly.
Franklin?
Franklin.
I want
to talk a bit more about Franklin, because the sides of this that I haven't quite picked up on before as well. I mean, when I first watched it, I like the majority of people who watched this film thought Franklin was incredibly annoying. The thing with Franklin is, and I did find him annoying, he's like, Jerry, he's a really annoying character.
Yeah.
However,
Sally?
someone pointed this out, and it's a fair comment, I think. He's not exactly an adored character, but I do sympathise with him more as I mature a bit. The other characters he drove with have love interests, and they just sneak off and leave him downstairs by himself, so he's quite bitter. You know, he doesn't know where he is, in this weird house.
Yeah.
And they'll fuck off and leave him. And then someone else says, I didn't get the name of the first person, but the second person said, he was called Rycart88, said, I was endeared to Franklin this last watch. He's the only one who tries to relate to the crazy hitchhiker and ease the tension while everybody else just stared at him.
Yeah, I agree.
And he seems to be aware that everyone else just sees him as an inconvenience and is used to being left behind. When Sally wants to go looking for her friends in the middle of the night, he's like, that's a terrible idea. You know, he's kind of the voice of reason a lot.
I think we're all Franklin.
I think we're all Franklin.
You're smart if you're Franklin.
Yeah.
Especially the hitchhiker bit. That's a really good point, because I've done that in the past. I've been in like a really potentially volatile situation with a stranger, and I've just been like trying to be mates with him. Like, yeah. You okay, bud?
Yeah. It's the empathetic thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I find a bit more sympathetic this time around as well. I hadn't read these comments at that point, but yeah, I think as I've got older, I've kind of realised that the struggle that he probably faces a bit better than I would have done when I watched it when I was like 20.
Yeah, so Franklin played by Paul A. Patane. So he tried to live his character, like he was very method about it. So he stayed away from everyone else,
right?
And was as annoying as Franklin, like on set. So they kind of really did find him annoying,
right?
I think he said. He said like some of the actors didn't really see him as himself until like years later at convention. Like they just saw him as Franklin and hated him, which is really funny. My favorite bit of trivia from Franklin, actually, from Paul Patane, was one of his favorite scenes was when he gets pushed down the hill when he's having a piss.
Oh yeah.
And he's pissing into a can, and he gets pushed down the hill. By that time, the film was like hemorrhaging money. No one had been paid.
Yeah.
And he had to do that stunt himself.
I don't think any of them were professional actors either, were they?
No.
So just like another parallel with the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, and it was an incredibly poorly handled film, both to make and distribute. So like no one made any money from it, considering it was, again, a multi-million-dollar like smash hit success. No one made anything from it. I think it was distributed by a company that was backed by the mafia.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's getting rolled down the hill. He hadn't been paid in weeks, and he had to do this stunt. And he basically said, "I'm not doing it until you pay me." So I think it was the producer cut him a check like then and there on set, out in the heat.
Yeah.
And when he goes down that hill in the film, in his top pocket is his check for his payment.
Oh wow!
So he's just like, yeah, he finally got paid.
Oh, good. I want to watch that scene again.
But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, an absolute banger. Oh, hang on, I didn't talk about the spiders. What were the spiders all about? That weird ball of harvestman spiders making that weird noise.
So I think that links in with your supernatural thing, because
theory.
They go in Sally's parents' house or the grandparents' house, whatever, and there's a bunch of, there's piles of bones and like structures and rituals that look like, and Franklin's seen all this shit because Franklin's the poor kind of sap that has to like see like some shit's going down here. Yeah. And then at one point when he's seen like a bag of like bones with like a mobile that's like made out of a skull or something, he looks up and there's like a ball of daddy long legs.
Yeah.
Like
gyrating. Some sort of scuttling noise.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because they look quite big as well. I don't know if they hatch like, I mean, did they have eggs? I presume they have eggs.
Yeah.
Like little spiders have egg sacs, don't they? And then did they hatch really big? And then
I don't care.
I want to know because I'm scared.
Yeah.
It might be just Texas spiders because, I mean, there's going to be big fucking spiders in Texas.
I've seen that before. Like, my friends are dicks and they send me, because they know I hate spiders, they've sent me like, in Australia you get like a cluster of baby spiders.
Oh, yeah. You have those friends too. Great.
Swarm.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Do you know how horrible is it to be in a world where even people that you trust, if you see a spider and they get it in the hand, you know that they're going to fake throw it at you.
Yeah.
Every time.
I know. Oh, I mean, I don't go near people who are clearly like hot concealing something in the hand. I don't want to know what it is at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, thank you very much.
You do have spiders on your notes. You can see that you've got spiders and.
I do have spiders and meat hook because we didn't talk about that one truly disturbing scene, the meat hook scene.
So, well, let's do it because like that's one of the scenes that really hammers home that it isn't as bloody as people think. I think it's like a.
I don't think you need the blood for that scene to be effective anyway. But I mean, the idea of just literally being picked up and impaled on a meat hook, you're not going anywhere, are you? It's the helplessness of it.
Yeah, it's horrible. And the way she acts it as well.
Yeah, it's terrifying. But then what happens next is her boyfriend gets chopped up. Her dead boyfriend, who's on the table in front of her on the slab, gets carved into meat. Yeah. But you don't see the chainsaw go into him.
Yeah.
You see it's shot in such a way that you see the chainsaw come down and his body's there, but you don't see any blood. You don't see any tearing of.
You see the chainsaw at one point and it's not covered in blood.
Yeah, exactly. It's clean. Yeah.
But yeah, the meat hook one is interesting because Hooper he described it to the effects guy. He wanted the hook to kind of come out the front and like blood spurt, and the effects guy was like, "You don't want to do that because the moment you do that, people are going to ask how you did it. So if you don't see anything, it's much better." Which is really good.
And again, like as I said earlier, some of the linking factors here for that and the Blair Witch Project, they both play a lot on things that you don't necessarily see.
In fact, it's the fact that you're not desensitized to the blood in the film, that some of the bits in the film that do have blood are all the more effective. So when, obviously the bit at the beginning where Franklin gets cut by the hitchhiker, because you get the little blood split and it's horrible. Later on, Sally gets her finger cut and Grandpa sucks the blood out of her finger.
That's so horrible.
And then again, when Grandpa's trying to hammer her, that's like an awful scene because it starts to get bloody, like she's actually being hammered.
Yeah, badly. But in a really non-hammering fashion.
Yeah.
Well, there we have covered everything now.
We have literally everything on your note, all the random words on your notes, meat hook, spider.
Yep. Oh, no, I didn't because there's one more bit. I mentioned earlier about how it becomes there are places where it's quite funny. During that traumatic end scene where the last 20 minutes where Sally is being beaten by a hammer and having her blood sucked out by this weird ghoul of an old man and the family's laughing at her and all that. She's tied to a chair and it's a literal armchair. It's got two human arms.
Yes. Oh, God.
Which I don't remember seeing the first time around. But a literal armchair.
She's tied to
an armchair. Yeah, great joke. Thanks, Tobe.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, thanks. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for another episode. I think what we're doing next time, Darkman and Scanners. David Cronenberg's Scanners and Sam Raimi's Darkman. So tune in. We're on social media. We're on Blue Sky, Ken Talbot, Gary Hames, Manchester Morgue, that sort of thing. You'll find us if you want to. Thanks for listening.
That's the most non-committal plug at the end.
Well, I mean, is anyone still listening? I don't know.
Yeah, just shouting into the void at this point.
If you want to find Gary Hames or Ken Talbot on social media, we're on Blue Sky. We hope you do. Give us a follow. Thank you. Share the podcast. Give us a comment. Rate it if you can. That always helps us out as well. Thanks. Get in touch, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Live from Manchester Morgue is brought to you on the 2nd and 15th of each month by Gary Hames and Ken Talbot on Spotify, Apple, Amazon and all major podcast platforms. Follow us on Blue Sky at killertunes.bsky.social and at kendomustdie.bsky.social or email us at killertunes976@gmail.com.